In today's video, my friends, we're taking a look at this affordable Dangbei N2 projector. This is a full HD projector that delivers a quite incredible image if you're in the right conditions. Let's take a closer look. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. Now, although this projector has got the capability of delivering a fantastic image if your room conditions are right, there are some things that it doesn't do so well on, and I will cover off all of those things in this video. What is important to think about when you're watching this video is whether this projector offers true value for money. And in my opinion, I think it does. The spec that it offers, the picture quality that's potential on this projector, compared to the price that you'll pay, is pretty impressive. This is the projector itself, and it's a really great looking projector. Dangbei do make fantastic projectors. They feel like a premium quality, great device. It's got a huge lens on the front, and there's also the on-off button on the top, and then on the back you've got all of your connections. There's one HDMI, two USBs, an audio port, and the DC port. So it's pretty good so far. On the bottom you've got a tripod mount and also a kickstand. So at the time of making this review, this retails for around £440 in the UK and $450. But in the UK at the moment, you can actually apply a voucher and get a £160 discount and pick this up for £285. And that does represent excellent value. The main limitation with this projector is brightness. If you've got a really bright room, then you're not going to get a great image. If you've got a room like I've got here, I've got lights on in the room, but it is still light controlled. I've been able to tilt the blinds, and so therefore I'm still getting a watchable image. This is the room. Apologise for the camera shake, but as you can see, it is still pretty light, but it's still very watchable. And if I leave the blind open but turn the light off, you can see that the picture definitely improves to a degree. But it's in the darker room condition that you're going to get the best response. This is ISO lumens of 400, and so therefore it's never going to be the brightest. And it's in the darker scenes, which is just coming up now, that you'll see that you do lose some detail. But as long as you know that, well then that's fair. But if you are able to have this set up in a really dark room, well then you're going to get an incredible HD image. This obviously is 1080p, not 4K, but look at the quality of the image that it produces. It really is quite exceptional in a dark room. Very, very impressive. Now, the other things that make this projector really good value, especially if you can get it at a discounted price, are the fact that it supports things like HDR10. It's got great contrast at 2000 to 1, which means that you are getting that better separation between the brightness and also the dark areas. But remember, you're only getting that in the right room conditions, and so it's really important to remember. But scenes like this, for instance, which is filmed at night, I'm in a dark room, they look great. They look really good, and the separation between the highlights and the dark areas are still very, very noticeable, and it looks pretty good. So I mentioned it's in the darkest of scenes that you get the real issue if you've got a bright room, and this is what happens if you introduce a lot of light. You just get that washed out effect. Now, it's still watchable, but it's just nowhere near as good as this. So I'm projecting onto a 100-inch screen from around 10 feet away, and the sharpness is surprisingly good. It's not the sharpest projector I've seen, but it's certainly not the worst. It's pretty good and represents very good value. Screen uniformity is also very good, and also motion handling I didn't have any issues with at all. The way that it handles the darkest areas of the contrast chart is as to be expected, as this only has 400 ISO lumens. The fan noise is also as to be expected with a projector in this price point. It's not the noisiest fan that I've ever heard, but it's certainly not the quietest. I was getting a room reading of around 27 to 28. It then peaked up to about 45 as it turned on, and then settled down to around 36 to 37. Another way of keeping the cost down is not having an operating system like Google TV, because that's very expensive to license. Instead, this runs on a Linux-based system, but the great news is that you do have Netflix license, and so that's working right out of the box. You've also got YouTube, Prime Video, and Disney+, so there are most of the main apps there. With other apps, well, there is an app store, but it's not great, to be honest, and so therefore for other apps I would tend to hook up the HDMI port and use a separate device like a Fire Stick. Now, some other areas where this projector is a little bit hit and miss is with the smart tech built in. But the first thing to say is that it's incredible the amount of tech that is built into this thing for the price that you can get it for. Having auto screen fit and auto keystone correction, when it works, is brilliant. The auto screen fit was absolutely fantastic. It worked brilliantly when there was nothing in the way, but it has got auto obstacle avoidance, and I didn't get as much success when trying that. I stood in the way and it didn't produce a straight image. It definitely avoided the obstacle, but it didn't make it straight. However, you can easily work around that with the zoom adjustment, which works brilliantly, and also the manual Keystone correction, so you can drag the four corners and have the screen as you wish. It also has electronic focus, and again, I found that from the distance that I was at, about 9 or 10 feet, that worked great. Any further than that, and I think that you start to lose a little bit of focus. But it does mean that you can have this a lot smaller. So if you want a 50-inch screen or something around 65 to 75 inches, then this is going to be super pin sharp. Having auto Keystone correction means that you don't have to be straight in front of the screen. You can be off at an angle, but if you're too far off at an angle, then it might not work. Here, I was just a little bit too far of an angle away from the screen, and it didn't actually straighten it. I only moved it by a few inches, and then it automatically looked, focused, straightened up, and gave me a straight image. So that is something which you do need to bear in mind. So if it doesn't work straight away, just make sure that you're not quite as far off at an angle. Now I think this is another reason why this makes this projector such really good value, because you don't have to have it shined against a 100-inch screen like you've seen in this video. You can have it just pointed against a wall, off at an angle. Create a 28-inch image and you're still going to get a really enjoyable experience. And it means that you can switch it out between different rooms super simply. This is an example of how the speakers sound. So there's two 6-watt speakers, it's Dolby audio, and it delivers an okay sound for a room size of around 12 by 12. Anything bigger than that, then you'll probably want to hook it up to a separate sound system. In fact, if you can do that anyway, then I definitely recommend that's the way forward, because you're definitely going to get that more cinematic feel. But in summary guys, this does pack a lot of tech and a lot of quality for the price that you can pick it up for. And so I definitely think that if you're looking in this type of price range, then the Dangbei N2 has got to be something that you consider purchasing. It's offering you incredible picture quality and a load of tech, and providing you know its limitations, well then it's probably one that you ought to consider. Anyway guys, that's my thoughts for this video. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Let me know your thoughts about this projector, and I'll see you on the next.